2,000 women, 11,000 kills, 75% dead. The Soviet Union deployed the deadliest female fighting force in human history, and when the Germans caught them, they made sure the world would never hear their names again. Not through quick execution, not through prisoner exchanges, through something far more calculated. The label Flintenweiber, riflewomen, stripped them of every protection a soldier could claim. What happened next wasn't war. It was erasure by design. Lyudmila Pavlichenko alone recorded 309 confirmed kills. One woman, 309 enemy soldiers eliminated. But the term Flintenweiber wasn't just a label. It was a death sentence with legal justification. To understand what made these women targets, you need to understand the scale of what the Soviet Union attempted. Between 1941 and 1945, the Soviets mobilized hundreds of thousands of women into direct combat roles, an experiment no military power had ever attempted at that magnitude. 2,000 were selected specifically for sniper duty, not support positions, not medical corps, frontline elimination specialists. They fought at Stalingrad, at Leningrad, at Moscow, the bloodiest theaters of the entire war. Their combined kill count exceeded 11,000 confirmed eliminations, a number that made them militarily invaluable. But it also made them ideologically intolerable. These women shattered two foundational Nazi doctrines simultaneously: Slavic inferiority and female subordination. Every kill proved the ideology wrong. They weren't just enemy combatants, they were living contradictions that had to be erased. But the German military had a specific plan for these women, one that started with a single word: Flintenweiber. Rifle women. The term sounds crude, almost dismissive, but it was neither. It was an administrative weapon designed to strip captured female snipers of every protection the 1929 Geneva Convention guaranteed to prisoners of war. The moment German forces applied that label, a captured sniper ceased to be a soldier. She became a partisan, a criminal, a non-person under military law. This wasn't improvised cruelty. In June 1941, the Commissar Order provided explicit legal framework for treating female combatants as entities outside the rules of war. German propaganda didn't hide the intent. They broadcast threats directly to Pavlichenko over loudspeakers at the front. "We will tear you into 309 pieces, one fragment for every confirmed kill." The terror wasn't just what they promised to do, it was the specificity. They were counting. Nazi forces hunted these women with aggression that exceeded standard combat operations. Every captured female sniper represented both a military and symbolic victory. And the administrative void created opportunity. Captured snipers often disappeared before official camp registration. No paperwork, no records, no accountability. When the war ended, prosecutors found gaps where names should have been. Women who vanished between capture and any official documentation. This legal stripping had immediate, brutal consequences the moment a female sniper was captured. Capture rarely happened in clean military facilities with proper documentation. It happened in occupied farmhouses, in ruined basements, in the frozen wreckage of villages that had changed hands 3 times in a month. No paperwork, no witnesses, no records. The interrogations that followed weren't designed to extract intelligence. They were designed to punish, to break, to make an example. Sleep deprivation stretched across days. Exposure to temperatures that turned fingers black. Systematic psychological erosion that turned combat veterans into hollow shells. But the cruelty had a performative dimension. Captured female snipers were paraded before German battalions, displayed as trophies to boost morale and demonstrate dominance. The same women who had eliminated dozens of soldiers from concealed positions were stripped of military insignia and forced to stand beside their own rifles. The weapons became props in a spectacle of their unnatural violation of gender roles. The message wasn't subtle. These women had stepped outside acceptable boundaries, and now they would be reduced to symbols of what happened when those boundaries were crossed. Most never reached official prisoner of war camps. The administrative void that began with the Flintenweiber designation ensured they vanished between capture and any formal registration. No names entered camp logs, no transfer orders were filed, no accountability existed. But for those who survived the front lines, a darker fate awaited in a place built specifically for women. Ravensbrück concentration camp stood 90 kilometers north of Berlin, the only major camp the SS built specifically for women. Starting in 1942, it became something else entirely. A laboratory for testing the limits of what could be done to bodies that no longer had legal protection. SS physician Karl Gebhardt, Heinrich Himmler's personal doctor, and Herta Oberhäuser established experimental wards within the camp. Their objective: test sulfonamide drugs for battlefield medicine. The method: deliberate trauma and infection studies on living subjects. Captured female combatants became primary test subjects. The same women who had disappeared from frontline records now vanished into experimental protocols with clinical designations instead of names. Prisoners called them the rabbits. Women subjected to procedures designed to replicate battlefield wounds, then deliberately infected to observe disease progression and drug efficacy. The logic was administrative, not medical. The Flintenweiber classification stripped these women of Geneva Convention protections. Without legal status as prisoners of war, they had no claim to medical ethics. No international law governed what happened to their bodies. The pipeline was complete. Label them partisans at capture, erase them from transfer records, deliver them to camps where their existence became experimental data rather than war crimes. Oberhäuser became the only female doctor convicted at the Nuremberg medical trials. But most perpetrators faced no accountability because the subjects they experimented on had no documented existence. The erasure was so complete that post-war justice struggled to prosecute what couldn't be documented. When the war ended, the doctor's trial at Nuremberg prosecuted those responsible for medical experiments. Karl Gebhardt and Herta Oberhäuser faced justice for what happened at Ravensbrück. But the frontline atrocities, the interrogations in occupied farmhouses, the executions without documentation, the disappearances between capture and camp registration, those remained largely unpunished. The 75% casualty rate among Soviet female snipers wasn't just combat losses. It was systematic elimination built on administrative erasure. Yet despite German efforts to ensure these women would never be remembered, history recorded their names. Lyudmila Pavlichenko, Rosa Shanina, Alia Moldogolova, women who achieved what military planners thought impossible, then paid for that achievement with targeted brutality. Their story reveals something darker than individual cruelty. It exposes the administrative machinery of atrocity, how bureaucratic dehumanization transforms human beings into legal non-entities, making systematic violence not just possible, but procedurally justified. One word, one classification, an entire architecture of elimination. Their story reveals a darker truth about how modern warfare targets those who challenge ideological boundaries. 2,000 women deployed, 11,000 confirmed kills, 500 survivors. The numbers tell a story of extraordinary military effectiveness met with systematic elimination. The Flintenweiber designation became a blueprint, proof that administrative language could strip human beings of legal existence, transforming atrocity into procedure. But the erasure failed. Their names survived. Their service is documented. Their resistance, both military and ideological, challenged doctrines that claimed they couldn't exist. They proved those doctrines wrong with every trigger pull.